Imagine a city built over 4,500 years ago with urban planning so advanced that it rivaled anything in the ancient world. A civilization with indoor plumbing, standardized weights and measures, and sophisticated engineering. Yet we still cannot read their writing. Welcome to Mohenjo-Daro, the Mound of the Dead, one of archaeology's greatest mysteries. Today, we're diving deep into the Indus Valley Civilization and exploring the enigma of Mohenjo-Daro, a city that thrived when the pyramids were still being built, then vanished without a clear explanation. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this ancient metropolis continues to baffle archaeologists and what secrets its ruins might still hold. Our story begins in 1922. Indian archaeologist R.D. Banerjee was investigating Buddhist stupas near the Indus River in what is now Pakistan. What he found beneath those structures would rewrite ancient history. Buried under layers of earth lay the remains of a massive, unknown city. The following year, excavations expanded under the direction of Sir John Marshall, who realized this wasn't just any ancient settlement. It was evidence of an entirely unknown civilization. The site was named Mohenjo-Daro, which translates to Mound of the Dead in Sindhi. But this city was anything but lifeless in its heyday. Excavations revealed it was part of the Indus Valley Civilization, also called the Harappan Civilization, which flourished from approximately 3300 BCE to 1300 BCE. What makes this discovery extraordinary is that while everyone knew about ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia, nobody suspected a third great Bronze Age civilization existed in South Asia, one that was, in many ways, more advanced than its contemporaries. Before we explore Mohenjo-Daro specifically, let's understand the broader Indus Valley Civilization. This was no small affair. At its peak, it covered an area larger than ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia combined, roughly 1.25 million square kilometers across modern-day Pakistan, northwest India, and parts of Afghanistan. The civilization had several major urban centers: Harappa in Punjab, Mohenjo-Daro in Sindh, Dholavira and Lothal in Gujarat, Rakhigarhi in Haryana, Kalibangan in Rajasthan. These weren't isolated cities, but part of an interconnected network engaged in trade, agriculture, and craft production. Archaeological evidence shows they traded with Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and possibly even Egypt. What's remarkable is the standardization across this vast region. From the Himalayas to the Arabian Sea, Harappan cities used the same system of weights and measures. Similar brick sizes, comparable urban planning. This suggests either strong centralized control or remarkable cultural unity. The civilization went through three main phases. Early Harappan from 3300 to 2600 BCE, when regional cultures were developing. Mature Harappan from 2600 to 1900 BCE, the peak of urban development. And late Harappan from 1900 to 1300 BCE, the period of decline and transformation. Mohenjo-Daro reached its zenith during the Sati, mature Harappan period, and that's when our story truly begins. Let's walk through Mohenjo-Daro at its peak, around 2500 BCE. You're entering one of the most sophisticated cities in the ancient world, home to an estimated 35,000 to 40,000 people. The first thing that strikes you is the city planning. Mohenjo-Daro was built on a grid system with streets running north-south and east-west, a level of urban organization not seen again until Greek and Roman times. The main streets were 10 meters wide, while side streets were narrower but still remarkably straight. The city was divided into two main sections: the citadel, an elevated area in the west, likely for administrative and religious purposes, and the lower city, the residential and commercial area where most people lived. In the citadel, you'd find one of the most iconic structures, the Great Bath. This wasn't just any pool. It was a feat of engineering. Measuring 12 meters by 7 meters and 2.4 meters deep, it was made watertight using bricks sealed with natural tar. Steps led down from both ends, and there were changing rooms around it. The bath had an inlet and drainage system, showing careful thought about water flow. Was it used for ritual purification, public bathing, religious ceremonies? We can only speculate, but its prominence suggests it held great importance. But here's where Mohenjo-Daro really shines, literally underground. The city had one of the world's first sophisticated sewage and drainage systems. Almost every house was connected to the street drainage network through terracotta pipes. These covered drains ran along the sides of streets, with manholes for maintenance and inspection. Wastewater flowed into larger drains and eventually out of the city. Some houses even had indoor toilets and bathing areas. Luxuries that wouldn't be common in Europe for another 3,000 years. The buildings themselves were remarkably uniform. Made from standardized burnt bricks in a ratio of 4 to 2 to 1, structures were built to last. Many buildings were 2 stories high, with flat roofs and courtyards. Houses typically had multiple rooms arranged around a central courtyard, providing privacy and ventilation. Windows were small and high up on walls, keeping interiors cool and dust-free. Some wealthier homes had wells inside their courtyards for private water access. The uniformity is striking. There are no palaces or monuments to kings, no obvious signs of extreme wealth disparity. This has led some scholars to suggest the Indus Valley Civilization might have been more egalitarian than its contemporaries, or at least less ostentatious in displaying power. Walking through the markets, you'd see evidence of sophisticated crafts, intricate beadwork, bronze tools, pottery wheels producing standardized vessels, craftsmen creating the famous Indus seals. These seals, usually made from steatite, featured carved animals like bulls, elephants, and mythical creatures, along with inscriptions in the still undeciphered Indus script. They were likely used to mark ownership of goods and facilitate trade. Now we come to one of the greatest frustrations in archaeology, the Indus script. Despite thousands of inscriptions found on seals, pottery, and other artifacts, nobody has successfully deciphered it. The script contains 400 to 600. Distinct signs and inscriptions are typically very short. Most are just 4 to 5 symbols. This brevity makes decipherment incredibly difficult. We don't know if it's alphabetic, syllabic, or logographic. We don't know what language it represents. Without being able to read their writing, we're missing crucial information about Harappan society, religion, politics, and daily life. It's like trying to understand a civilization while being completely deaf to its voice. Another peculiarity. Despite extensive excavations, archaeologists have found remarkably few weapons. There are no swords, no armor, no obvious fortifications built for defense, no artistic depictions of battles or warriors. This is bizarre for a Bronze Age civilization. Egypt had its chariots and armies. Mesopotamia was constantly at war between city-states. But Mohenjo-Daro, it seems almost peaceful. Did they have a sophisticated system of diplomacy? Was their society fundamentally different in how it resolved conflicts? We also struggle to understand their religion. Unlike Egypt with its elaborate temples and clear pantheon, or Mesopotamia with its ziggurats and documented gods, the Harappans left no obvious temples or religious texts. We've found intriguing artifacts. The famous priest-king sculpture, which might not be a priest or king at all. The dancing girl bronze. Seals depicting a figure in a yoga-like pose, sometimes called Proto-Shiva, and the Great Bath, possibly for ritual purification. But without written records, we're interpreting these through our own cultural biases. Were they worshipping nature, ancestors, abstract concepts, multiple gods, or one? We simply don't know. Perhaps most puzzling is the apparent absence of rulers or a ruling class. Where are the royal palaces, the elaborate tombs, the statues of kings, the victory monuments? Every comparable civilization had these markers of hierarchy and power, but Mohenjo-Daro seems deliberately understated. This has led to various theories. Was it ruled by a collective, religious authorities, merchant guilds, or did they simply express power differently? By 1900 BCE, Mohenjo-Daro was in decline. By 1300 BCE, the Indus Valley Civilization as we know it had collapsed. Cities were abandoned, trade networks dissolved, urban life gave way to rural settlements. What happened? Let's explore the leading theories. The oldest theory, proposed in the 1940s and 50s, suggested an Aryan invasion. British archaeologist Mortimer Wheeler found skeletons in the upper levels of Mohenjo-Daro and hypothesized they were victims of conquest. However, this theory has been largely discredited. The skeletons weren't all from the same period. They showed no signs of battlefield trauma. There's no archaeological evidence of a sudden military invasion. Modern genetic studies also don't support a massive population replacement. A more compelling explanation involves climate change. Evidence suggests the monsoon patterns shifted around 2000 BCE, becoming weaker and more erratic. This would have devastated agriculture and water supplies. The Geiger-Hakra river system, which many Harappan settlements depended on, may have dried up or changed course. Without reliable water and food, cities couldn't sustain their populations. Related to climate change, tectonic activity may have altered the course of the Indus River itself. If Mohenjo-Daro's lifeline shifted away, the city would have become unsustainable. Some evidence suggests catastrophic flooding at various periods, which could have repeatedly damaged infrastructure and depleted resources. Disease could have played a role. Dense urban populations are vulnerable to epidemics, especially if sanitation systems fail or nutrition declines due to agricultural problems. We've found evidence of malaria and other diseases in skeletal remains, though it's unclear if disease was a cause or symptom of decline. Some scholars argue the decline was internal. Perhaps trade networks collapsed, or the social systems that maintained order broke down. The very standardization that made the civilization successful might have made it inflexible when faced with challenges. Most archaeologists now believe the collapse resulted from multiple interconnected factors: climate change weakening agriculture, rivers changing course, trade routes disrupting, populations gradually migrating to more viable areas. Rather than a sudden catastrophic end, the Indus Valley Civilization seems to have slowly transformed. People abandoned large cities for smaller, more sustainable settlements. The urban phase ended, but the people didn't vanish. They adapted. The story of Mohenjo-Daro isn't over. Modern archaeology continues to reveal new insights. Recent excavations using ground-penetrating radar and advanced imaging have revealed that we've only excavated about 10% of Mohenjo-Daro. Much of the site remains buried, preserving potential answers to our questions. There are concerns about excavating more, however. The exposed ruins are deteriorating due to salt erosion, water damage, and lack of preservation resources. Some archaeologists argue we should leave the remainder buried until we can properly protect what we uncover. DNA analysis of skeletal remains is providing insights into who the Harappans were and where their descendants are. Studies suggest the Indus Valley people were indigenous to the region and contributed significantly to the genetic makeup of modern South Asians. Advanced dating techniques are refining our timeline. We now know the civilization was older and lasted longer than initially thought. Some settlements show continuous habitation from 7000 BCE to historical times. Geologists, climate scientists, and hydrologists are reconstructing ancient environmental conditions. Their work is crucial for understanding how climate and geography shaped Harappan life and death. Machine learning algorithms are being applied to the Indus script. While we haven't achieved a breakthrough yet, AI might find patterns humans miss. If the script is ever deciphered, it would revolutionize our understanding of the civilization. Why does Mohenjo-Daro matter? What can we learn from this ancient mystery? First, it reminds us that history is full of unknown chapters. For thousands of years, one of the world's great civilizations was completely forgotten. What else might we have lost to time? Second, the Harappans challenge our assumptions. They built sophisticated cities without apparent kings or armies. They created art without monumental propaganda. They maintained standardization across a vast area without apparent conquest. They show us alternative ways humans can organize complex societies. Third, their collapse is a warning. A sophisticated civilization with advanced technology can still fail when faced with environmental change and resource stress. Climate change, water scarcity, and agricultural disruption destroyed cities that had stood for 700 years. Finally, Mohenjo-Daro represents an ongoing mystery that captivates us. In our age of instant information, it's humbling that we can't read inscriptions from 4,000 years ago or fully understand how these people lived. The ruins stand as a testament to human ingenuity and fragility, achievement and loss, innovation and mystery. The Mound of the Dead keeps its secrets well, but every year, new discoveries bring us closer to understanding the people who built these remarkable cities. Perhaps one day we'll read their script, understand their religion, know for certain why they left. Until then, Mohenjo-Daro remains one of archaeology's most tantalizing puzzles, a reminder that even the most advanced civilizations can fade into mystery. What do you think happened to Mohenjo-Daro? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ancient history, Please like and subscribe for more explorations of humanity's forgotten past. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.